I ran across an intriguing story this past week of a girl back in 1971. I hope you'll Google this because it's such an intriguing story of, I believe her name is Julianne Kopke, and I hope I've pronounced that correctly, but there was this plane that went down and every single person on that jet was killed that day except for one 17-year-old girl who came down 2 miles out of the sky, landed in the Amazon forest. She was wearing a little dress and had one shoe on when she landed, but she was able to crawl out from that plane seat and lived for 11 days in the Amazon forest before they found her. She had like a broken collarbone and a big gash on her side of her body, but actually they said a lot of the damage that she was suffering from those 11 days were all of the mosquito bites and the chigger bites and all that kind of stuff, those critters that had gotten a hold of her while she had trekked through the Amazon forest for 11 days waiting for help to arrive. Now, today we're going to talk just a little bit about what we can do proactively. Hopefully we're never in that situation, but if you have to pack a get home bag so that if something goes down while you're away from home and you need to get home, and it's in the middle of summer or in the middle of winter, but right now we're talking about summer, how are you going to prepare yourself with what you put into that bag to wear on yourself to get home? So stay with us. Wow, so it finally happened. You've been at work all day just minding your own business, and that grid down situation that we've talked about for years finally took place, and the electricity went out and it never came back on, and everybody had to make their way home. But you didn't have a vehicle to make your way home, and your cell phone was down. So I want to give you a couple of points for what you did right, but then we're going to talk about a few ways that we can improve. Actually, today we're just talking about one small, little minute way that we can improve, and we'll talk about more in the future on other episodes. But I want to give you points because you did have a get-home bag with you, so good job for that. And in it, you had a set of clothing that was not your work clothes, so you didn't have to try to walk home in stilettos or whatever you happen to have on your feet or on your body at the time. You were able to change into something more comfortable. So good job there. Also, I would give you points for dressing in such a way that you don't look tactical or threatening, but you do blend in with your environment. So nobody's going to probably come upon you and think that you're somebody that needs to be taken out immediately because you're such a threat. And hopefully not too many people will come across your path because you're also doing this right. You're traveling off the beaten path, away from the highways and interstates where everybody else is probably on their way walking home right now. There are other things you've gotten right, and I applaud you for that. But there are a couple of things that you might really regret if you don't think about, and we'll talk about all of those in other episodes. But today we're talking about one very, very small one, and that is this. Mosquitoes are going to eat you alive. And chiggers and whatever it is that you have in your area. I don't know what part of the world you are in. All of us have different threats, but if you're like me living in a semi-humid environment, and on a hot July or August day it can get really humid, and the mosquitoes and the no-see-ums and the chiggers and all kinds of little biting creatures come out and can make it unbearable and almost cause you to lose your life as they demoralize you and trap you in a situation where you are just zapped of energy and the ability to even get the rest of your short distance of 7 miles home from work or whatever that is. So we're going to talk about a couple of things that you could have done differently in that get home bag to dress yourself, to prepare yourself in a natural, easy way so that you are not eaten alive on your way home. Let's get started. I have a little confession to make. So I keep a get-home bag in my vehicle at all times. In the winter, there's one with warm things, and in the summer, there's one that's appropriate for those months of the year. However, I made a tragic mistake a couple of years ago and literally didn't even realize it when I originally packed my Get Home bag filled with things that I thought would keep me cool during the summer. So I had my wonderful shorts that were camouflage, so they were nicely covering myself while I'm out in the woods, but there my legs are fully exposed. I put in a nice dark t-shirt, but it was fully cotton, so of course it just absorbs all of the sweat and humidity in the air. I had comfortable shoes, but I surely didn't think that wool socks were something you should wear during the summer. And all in all, I probably would have gotten an F if I had been graded on the effectiveness of what I had chosen to wear in the event that I actually had to use that Get Home bag to get home from work during the summer months. So don't do what I did. I want you to learn from my mistakes, and let me go change real quick into an outfit that I think is quite a bit more appropriate and effective against both the elements and the critters. Here we go. Ta-da! All right, so let's talk through a couple of the things that I should have done that are gonna save me a whole lot in the future. So first of all, hiking boots that are real hiking boots, preferably ones that can breathe a little bit but are also waterproof. Wool socks, actual real wool socks. And I know you're thinking, no, not during the summer, but you'll be amazed at how well they wick moisture. They're antibacterial. They're going to be so much better for you in a situation like this. You're gonna want a full-length pant, and preferably one that's long enough that it can tuck into your socks or down into your boots. I'm talking to you men and women alike. You don't want your ankles exposed at all or even the hint of them. You also want a fabric that's not all cotton. I know that I'm fully into all cotton and all natural fibers and linens and wool, but for this kind of thing, I would make the exception and say a pair of good pants that are a blended mixture of fabric so that they wick moisture away, they quick dry, they are breathable, and they move very easily. They have a little bit of stretch. That's what you want. You also, if you can avoid having an elastic waistband, you're gonna be thankful, because the mosquitoes and the little chiggers love to tuck themselves into anything that's super tight, like an elastic waistband. But you do want a good belt on yourself. And then you want a shirt that is long sleeved all the way down to your hand. Some people like the little thumb holes where they can even wrap it around their thumb and have it even longer. Some people like to make sure they carry gloves with them, even just a regular old pair of garden gloves that would help you go through the wilderness. You might be amazed at how thankful you were for those to protect your hands while you're out there in the wild. Also, a collared shirt. You see I've got a collar on this, and I really like layering stuff so I can take things on and off if I need to while I'm out there. But for your neck, obviously I don't have a collared shirt on right here. For your neck, you might be thankful for something like this, or even a shamag. And I really like to err on the side of a little bit more trendy than tactical in my look, because I really believe in a very serious grid down situation where people are not at their very best. They are looking for those of us who might look like threats and look tactical and know, hey, they probably have the supplies in their backpack, take them down first. I don't want to look like that. I just want to look like somebody else. But a good shamag is helpful for so many different things, and something like either of these two things can wrap around my neck and even be used to breathe through if I needed to, or all kinds of different things. We'll get into those in a whole different episode where we talk about 50 different ways you can use something like that. And lastly, I would say this, you want, remembering that we're talking about specifically mosquitoes and chiggers and everything that you're exposed to out on a hot summer day, a hat is an excellent addition to your wardrobe. Now, you'll want to have something you can tie your hair back if you're long-haired like I am. So get yourself a rubber band and pull your hair back into that, and then put on a full hat. There is netting that you can buy that you put on right under your hat that's going to keep those mosquitoes away if you're really in an Amazon forest type environment. So remember a couple of things, just to recap, that you can do that are going to help you in the event that you find yourself trekking on your way home in the hot summer and you are wearing clothing that may or may not be helping you stay away from the mosquitoes. Now, remember that covering yourself completely is the first line of defense. It's something all of us can do. Find creative ways to cover yourself. And if by chance you have to sit still and not move, even just covering yourself with a blanket is going to help you in that situation. Also, I would just remind you, I didn't mention this earlier, but the lighter the clothing that you wear, at least this is what I've heard. I don't know that it is proven to be true, but I've heard that the lighter clothing you wear, the less the mosquitoes want to eat at you. Now, I do recommend that you dress according to the colors of the environment you're going to be passing through, but do keep in mind that lighter colors do help keep those mosquitoes away. Also, if you do have bug spray, which I hope you do, and just so you know, in our next episode, we're going to be making our DIY all-natural mosquito spray that's going to be fantastic for you and your family. So you'll want to stay tuned for that. But if you have mosquito spray with you in your bag, and I hope you do, make sure you spray your clothing and not your skin. It's going to last longer and it's going to evaporate slower when it's on your clothing, and it won't irritate your skin. So that's a plus. Keep that in mind. Also, if by chance in your bug out bag, which many of us do have coffee, if you happen to be someone who loves to drink coffee and have some in there, you can put that in the fire, and it does actually repel the mosquitoes if you have a little campfire going in the evening on your way home. I just thought I would add that to this list of ways that you can tactically think if you're really getting eaten alive out there. And lastly, I would say learn how to forage, because if you do, one of the benefits is that you can find wild plants that are going to help you all along the way. Wild geranium or wild mint. All of us have different things growing in different parts of the world that are going to help us, and those are going to be invaluable if you know how to identify them while you're out there. So I just have to put a plug in for the value of foraging in a situation like this, because for repelling mosquitoes and the bugs, you're going to be thankful for knowing which plants are around you that you can just rub on your skin, and it's going to be entirely effective. All right, now it's your turn. I'm sure I haven't covered everything, but I want you to tell us what you have learned to do specifically in regards to repelling the bugs when you're out in the wilderness, say on a wild trek or going through a very humid area. Some of you down in Florida where it's extra humid and you have swamps and stuff, you probably have a lot of good things that you could train the rest of us with in knowing how to repel mosquitoes and such in our areas. Now, will you take the time to share this video with somebody that you love that it might help? Will you write down below what you would suggest or add to it that we can put on our list of another natural way to repel the bugs? And will you take the time this week to go out and intentionally be a blessing to someone else? We'll see you next time.
Hey, before you go, let me share some scripture with you. 1 John 4:18 says, "There is no fear in love, but perfect love casts out fear. For fear has to do with punishment, and whoever fears has not been perfected in love." Now go spread the word.